The deciding match here, game 3 between Hans and Talisman.
Trap's complete. We got a rifle squad waiting for orders.
Bit of banter between these two
That's it. Points ours.
about the next match for them. Potential match. Hans, as US Forces, he's obvious, he would have had faction selection, so he's gone for US Forces. But Heavy Cavalry, Airborne, and Infantry Company. Talisman as OKW still has Breakthrough, Special Operations, and Luftwaffe Ground Forces. Hans once again putting down some wire
Be on the lookout for armor.
along with the tank traps to provide himself some heavy cover positions around the map. Playing defensively with his rifleman, just trying to cap up the territory, perhaps expecting some kind of aggression from Talisman with his stern pioneers, but quite the opposite. Talisman also capping up his side of the map first.
Target secure.
I don't think it was
Target captured.
I don't think it was he had no faith. Maybe he was saying that maybe he thinks Hans was saying that he thinks he's better against Love Nest than Talisman is against Love Nest. Maybe that's what he's trying to say.
Capture complete. No enemy activity.
Maybe Hans has got some anti-Love Nest tech, I don't know.
Mission accomplished. Fighting an ambush state.
All is quiet, not much has happened so far this match, just capping up around the map.
Secure.
It's going to be our first engagement now. If he jumps into the building but with only one window, can't stand there and hope to win the engagement. Similar situation though for Hans. He actually is going for the chase, but with a squad of Volksunities right there for support. Seems like this is not a very good engagement for Hans. Similar situation over here, fighting 2v1. Now having to close with the rifleman, but this squad in really nice cover. So he is going to end up winning that engagement though. Thought he would switch targets to this squad that was closing the distance. Get some good damage on them as they approached. Instead he was shooting at that squad which was behind heavy cover.
The enemy is overrunning one of our capture
And as a
points.
result, Hans does end up winning that engagement.
Stick with me and you might just make it. Our supply line just got cut off.
But Talisman sneaking around onto the cutoff.
A capture point.
And he's going to get the neutralized. Hans trying to fight this at long range. In comes the second rifle squad. Talisman backpedaling as he completes the neutralize to the light cover. But now is ultimately forced away. Similar situation for the squad for Hans. But here comes a pretty impressive push down the right hand side for Talisman. If he gets some sandbags up on this, that will be ideal for him. He's trying to do it. Sometimes in these situations, like when you think your opponent's coming around the side, I think it's better to try get two squads of Volksunities to power build one set of sandbags instead of trying to split them like this. If you think your opponent is going to be coming in and interrupting your production, maybe if he just sent them both here to power build one sandbag, maybe he would have got it up and that would have helped in this engagement. But he's still doing pretty well in the oh, that muesli bar. Still doing pretty well in this engagement. Oh, but the rear echelons do well there as well. Oh my god. Little oat or something got in my throat there. Oh my god. And comes some reinforcements from Talisman. So he is off to a pretty strong start. Still has control of his own fuel, though Hans is setting one squad out there to do something about that. But this is a much stronger start for Talisman.
Target secured.
Hans can't really get inside this building because one window facing this direction. You just end up losing the engagement. And this low health rifle squad's a bit of a liability for him here. He's trying to run it to safety. Maybe distract the Stern Pioneers as he steals this building. Talisman is such a good position. Double fuel for an age. He's getting his tech truck now. A little bit late on his truck this time. He's really on point. He's actually gone for 5 Volksgrenadiers. That's why he's got so much control right now. 5 Volks into mechanized. So kind of similar to the strategy Hans and ICAB were using, but instead of getting a Kubel, he's just gone for another squad of Volksgrenadiers, which has resulted in a tremendous amount of map control early. And because Hans has gone for the captain, and he doesn't have access to the machine gun without selecting airborne, but he's probably going to select airborne. Seems to be his preferred commander anyway. Squad's getting away on low, but this one might not be so lucky. This is a lot of firepower in its retreat path. Looks like he's going to focus on this squad instead. Maybe if he switched targets to this squad as it was coming this way, from all the way back there, might have got the white, but not quite. Still, Hans is only just regathering his fuel now. So Stuart's going to be quite late, but similar story for Talisman. He was quite late getting his tech up, of course, going for the extra squad of Volksgrenadiers. Don't quite have the manpower spare to get your tech up at the exact fastest timing. So while he did get a lot of map control and fuel control with it, his light tank's going to come out a little bit late. In fact, quite a bit later. Usually you'd see this about like on the field by now. At like 6 minutes 30, maybe even slightly earlier than that. So delayed by over a minute, I would say. Going for this build, but will it pay off? Having the extra field presence early.
Light tank ready to deploy.
Talisman probably going to be forced into going for a Puma now as well. Doubling down on the light vehicles to try deal with this Stuart, which is actually, despite Hans's poor fuel control, going to arrive not that much later than the looks. Already got the AT gun, does Hans. But Hans, by going for the AT gun, he is leaving himself a little bit exposed to this infantry.
Krauts are taking one of our points.
Ambulance coming in for Hans now as well. He's got quite a lot of low health squads. Was in dire need of that. Talisman setting up shop over here as well. He's got all the sandbags set as makes it so much harder to push back out for Hans. I wonder if Hans is actually just going to try. Oh, where's his ambulance? Oh, okay, hadn't completed. Wonder if he's going to just try branch out to this way. At least then he's not running into a million squads behind heavy cover. Might make life a little bit easier.
We're losing a capture point.
Nice attack ground through the hedge there. Oh, another one. Good micro there by Hans. Forcing away that squad from Talisman. All of Hans' squads needed healing, so they're a bit late coming out of the base. And it looks like he's going right into Talisman's strong point. Don't know if Talisman's got any mines down himself yet, but he does have the sweeper. Don't think I'd be worried too much about Hans having mines being US forces. And being so far behind, hasn't had very much map control to plant them in good positions. Boomer coming in for Talisman, so he's just got to try stall for a little bit while he waits for that to arrive. M1 in an okay position. Bazooka's charging in, trying to put pressure on the looks, and they do effectively. These heavy cover positions give giving Talisman so much more staying power in these engagements though. And it's the strength of building those sandbags. Looks coming forward, wants to chip in a little bit more. Hans still has no fuel. He's branched out over here with one squad though, so gonna get fuel from over there. And Puma shooting through the hedgerow. Gets a shot on the Stewart. Looks going to town here. Getting some good hits in. Going back in now. After they shoot the bazooka, he comes back in and then he tries to back away as the bazooka had reloaded. Good awareness by Talisman. Yeah, Hans' AT gun positioning throughout this hasn't been terribly strong. Hasn't got the AT gun in position to fire any shots on the Panzer II so far. Stewart is back to full though and looking to do some damage. Puma pushing forwards. M1 is there, gets a shot in this time. He has to back away for repairs. Where are those stern pioneers? They're back in base. Hans does have a bazooka on this squad as well. The Talisman forced away the squad, but hasn't regathered his fuel quite yet. Quite a lot of resources does Talisman. Interesting to see if he goes for the battle group, get some healing, and then maybe call in the command tank, or if he just goes for a tier 4 build. This next truck is in production now. Looks like Hans is finally going to regather control of this fuel, but my word, it's taken a long time. And there's tech weapon racks, got a few bars in the squads now. That's one thing about this map, very high munitions. Quite hard to harass and cut off these munitions points, as well as having one more standard territory point on each side of the map. So very high munitions you typically see from these Crossroads matches. So despite Hans being, you know, on the back foot, he has munitions controlled basically the entire match, which is why he's able to get so many weapon upgrades. Probing, looking for weaknesses. M1 rotating around the side a little bit more. And I thought Hans was about to regather his fuel, but Talisman, with all these fault trees, just constantly has one more arriving from the base at the nick of time to keep the pressure on and stop Hans from getting his fuel back under control. This is just really good pressure play from Talisman. He's got his tech up now, covering his cutoff. And Hans has now got a 50 cal, so that will make life a lot easier for him. Bazooka's charging in. Only got one bazooka. And they can't get it off. Generally charging forwards with one squad, only one bazooka on a squad is, you know, not really worthwhile. Infiltration grenades. Quite a lot of damage. End up winning the engagement for Talisman. Hans now branching out to the left. And could lose the squad. Close call for Talisman there. 50 cals there, popping the AP rounds. M1 misses its shot. Steam Pioneer's trying to come around the flank now. And it looks like he's going to secure the fuel on both sides currently. Remember this. 50 cal no longer has access to sprint and bet 1. Removed just like it did from the Maxim. M1 finally connects. Panzer 2 Staying back a little bit now. Puma coming forwards. But the bazooka squad is there on the flank, and he has to bail on that attempt. Still, Talisman's been in the driver's seat this game. Putting the pressure on, had better fuel control so far. Thing is though, he keeps having to spend munitions on those med crates. And he actually didn't have a set of medic crates down for this push out from his base, so he's got a lot of low health squads, could lose a lot of manpower these next few engagements. Just to see Hans building tank traps right on the edge. I thought he'd maybe go like one further forwards, because I'm not sure he can even capture the circle wall. Standing in cover there. Talisman's now abandoned his pushes onto Hans's fuel, regathering his own. Perhaps trying to, you know, outmaneuver Hans's team weapons by switching sides with his light vehicles. Oh, Puma misses that shot. And Talisman has a lot of manpower. Still requires another 20 fuel to get a medium tank though. Wonder if he's going to get... Okay, he's going for a kitten. Hans is quite a decent chunk of fuel, but he's a bit strapped for manpower himself. He's got himself a second 50 cal. Typically, suppression is very strong against SOKW, so it'll be interesting to see how Talisman deals with that. He's still floating quite a lot of manpower. Maybe he can get himself an ISG. Not quite as strong on this map as they are on Familyville Approach though. Oh, that's a nasty shot. That could be a wipe. In come the bars from the side, and there it goes. Talisman not getting a lucky escape this time. Good damage done by the Stewart there, resulting in the kill. Looks trying to do its best, but honestly, the Looks hasn't even been performing as well in the anti-infantry duties as the Stewart has. I think also the Puma for Talisman hasn't really found its mark shooting at the Stewart too often. Looks could go down here. Bazooka there. AT grenade perhaps? Not quite. Just back away for repairs. Doesn't have the repair pioneers yet. But it could get them now. P4 coming in very soon. And Talisman having a bit more trouble in these infantry engagements because Hans has got most of his squads with at least one bar now. Got the suppression to back it up. Talisman starting to lose his grasp on this game. He's still floating a bit of manpower as well. He's got some room to get something done here. Hans actually going for a second anti-tank gun. Very heavy into this team weapons. I mean, can we dream it? Will we see a walking Stuka this match? When you see this many team weapons, you gotta be thinking walking Stuka, and because Talisman already has the mechanized HQ, it's not outside the realms of possibility, honestly. Always very hard to fit a walking Stuka into your build in 1v1s, but it seems like a pretty good time for it. The thing is, you're kind of committing to a very long-term plan when you go for the walking Stuka, because you know, it's probably like a good 4 or 5 barrages before it really pays itself off and has like a good impact on the game.
We're losing a capture point.
So, look at that tank trap and wired off. Nice for Hans, stopping that flank. And now Hans in the driver's seat, putting pressure on Talisman on the back of his support weapon play. Talisman having trouble finding avenues for his vehicles to attack. Talisman floating a lot of manpower. Needs to decide what he's going to do with it. 700 manpower. You never want to see that in a game like this. Unless you've already at 100 supply. Needs to decide what he's going to do. Is he going to get it? Is he going to tick up? Try to get an MG34? Is he going to get overs? Okay, goes for the MG34 plan. M1's forcing away Panzer IV. Hans has completed his major tech. Just needs a little bit more manpower, then he can get a tank. So, you know, this P4 coming in hasn't really got much done. That double AT gun seems to be quite strong. Oh! Sure takes a few hits. Boomer misses that blow. I'm not sure if it would have been the killing one or not. Yes, it would have killed it. Would have killed it if it landed.
Krauts are taking one of our points. Attention on me, damn it!
50 cal doing some good work. Talisman not charging in and getting the suppression off quickly enough. Now he's going to get AT grenade on his tank. Bring down some more medic crates. Talisman really struggling here. Hunt's putting up a really good fight despite his tough early game. On the back of these AT guns and 50 cals, Hunt has got a pretty strong grasp on the game right now. Talisman struggling to keep up repairs on his tanks as well. Okay, he's finally spent some more manpower. He's gone for another squad of stern pioneers for faster repairs. And now Talisman just kind of on the back foot. Hans is pinning him in with all these team weapons, and if Talisman ever lets go of his grasp in this region, 2 AT guns can make a really rapid push onto the tech structure and knock it out. But it looks like finally Talisman perhaps going to branch out a bit more to the right hand side. There's not much over here for defense, especially in terms of anti-tank. There's nothing really. Hans though, keeping this pressure on, it still hasn't found the manpower spare to build himself his own tank. There's at least that going for Talisman. Interesting to see what he gets first. It'll be the Jackson or the Sherman. Oh my god. If there is a stone piece of wall anywhere, this P4 is going to hit it and miss the infantry. Doing almost nothing there with that.
Ready for further orders.
Okay, Scott coming in for Hans, so he's not even going to bother with the tank. He's going to go for the indirect fire. Stuart being sent to the right hand flank to shut down this harassment. I wonder if maybe he should send his Puma over to this side, right? It's not that much use on this left hand side. Might as well shut down the Stuart that's shutting down his own attempts of harassment. And it is Talisman going for it. He's going for the walking Stuka. Got a Faust off on this Stuart as well. Is the Puma going to rotate around there? M1 already repositioning.
A capture point is under attack.
Calling in the artillery on that machine gun. Major artillery. 50 cal setting up, but it looks like the MG34 is going to get around the side of it. It's going to end up getting suppressed. because the M1 was sent down here, not in a position to deal with this P4 up here, so he's actually, oh my god, and he gets a good scatter on his infiltration grenades, doing a lot of damage, almost getting the wipe. M1 rotates a little bit. I think there's a shot blocker there though, so can't get a shot off. And looks like he's repelling this attack pretty well, because that second M1 was on the other side of the map. M1's taking attack grounds through the hedgerow, not having much success, and now the looks. Oh, I thought he was going to pounce on that M1, doesn't actually, decides to backpedal. Talisman sending more squads out to this right hand side whilst all this is going on. And in comes the walking Stuka, targeting this first. And does barely anything with that barrage. That was not such a good walking Stuka barrage. I feel like he's still not getting much utility out of this Puma. I think he's mobilizing it now to this right hand side. M1 also having to backpedal. Puma finally back on this side. I think this is the way he needs to go. By having the Puma over here, it does kind of force one of the anti-tank guns on this side, which gives a lot more freedom to the Panzer IV on the left hand side of the map. As we saw in that last engagement. Without the double M1s on this left hand side, Hans has a lot more trouble fighting. But now his infantry pushing back out. Looks is there, doing some good damage. M1 not quite in position. Rifleman going down the side with the threat of the AT grenade, forcing this Boomer back. It's going to work. Trying to make use of the shot blocker, avoiding the M1. P4 almost gets the kill on those rifles. M1 advancing with the AP ammo. A few good hits in with the Sabot rounds. See, the Panzer II gets engine damage, but because Hans went for the Scott instead of going for a tank, there's no real threat for the Panzer II to die here. Stuart's coming in, but there's a Raketen, and there's a P4, and there's a Puma here. And it goes down. Walking Stuka barrage comes through, knocks out the 50 cal as well, so Hans losing a lot right there. Hans does have enough manpower and fuel to get another unit of some description. Loses Major as well. That's unfortunate, you know, having those recon passes is sometimes pretty helpful. Same with the artillery barrage. When your commander doesn't have an off-map artillery strike. And it did have its population reduced last patch, I believe. I think it's now only occupies something like 3 supplies, so it's not like it's a big liability to your army size. What is it? Yeah, 3 supply, I was right. Puma going forwards. It's a cheeky shot on the Scott. M1 facing the wrong direction. Doesn't get any shots off in return. No, this is my last cast for the day. Go to bed after this. Well, I'm not. I'm going to eat some food then go to bed. P4 was just picking away in the middle, but so is the M1. That M1's Vet 3, remember. Pretty good rate of fire. Jackson's there in support as well now. Before bouncing a few shots though, it's got that strong frontal armor. Oh, what was that?
Just got a report of an infantry unit being wiped out.
Captain pushes forwards, must have taken a P4 shot with a bit of follow-up from the looks and has just died so quickly. It's 3 losses recently for Hans. Making use of the artillery flares. Trying to track down that M1. Hans dodges it very proficiently. M1 staying in there.
We're losing a capture point. Where's that coming from? Ready for action.
5 kills and what, 3 barrages? Not a terribly effective hit rate for the Walking Stuka so far. The first barrage was especially bad. The second one was good, but that third one also pretty weak. Talisman's got quite a lot of resources though. Oh man, if he retreated that a split second later, would have gone down to the Scot. Panzer II is vetting up nicely. Still needs to get to vet 5 for this, right? Suppressing fire. Oh, he's in the cautious movement mode. Making use of the camouflage. Talisman kind of hiding around the side here, avoiding the AT gun and the Jackson. Jackson's repositioned now, but Rakidin is there to return fire. And so is the Puma. Jackson takes a lot of damage. Going to be out for repairs for an extended period of time because of that. Sounds like we've got double bars on these riflemen, so it's going to make life a little bit harder for the Volksgrenadiers. Looks going to town here. Getting a few more hits in. Again, vet 4. 25% damage and +5 range. That's really good. Yeah, that could end up being the MVP. We've got an artillery flare coming in for Talisman, scouting this location. Perhaps Han's aware of that, starting to mobilize his team weapons to try and avoid it. Ooh, and he gets that vetted up M1 finally. In comes the P-47's engine damage on the Panzer IV. Here's the edge of the circle. Can he get out of there before the second wave of planes? I think he can. Remember, they did nerf this P-47s by about 20-30% in terms of damage this last patch. One of them gets shot down. Didn't even activate the AA mode on this Tier 4 either. Just must have been from the machine gun on the Panzer IV.
Gun batteries reporting. Reconnaissance by flare now available.
The plane's still probably ready to pounce. Well, he's over now. Puma putting some pressure on here. Here's Vet 2, you know, with the target weak point. Even the Jackson has to be wary. Jackson actually on regular fire, not prioritized vehicles. Oh, infiltration grenades, nasty stuff. You know, after Hans lost that captain, the major, the steward, he started to struggle. This Talisman's been getting some good hits with all his units. His P4 up to Vet 4 already. It's crazy high veterancy on that for how long it's been on the battlefield. Repairing and recrewing that M1. Bit of fire through the hedge wars. Both of them missing. Oh, now the AT gun connecting though. Vet 4 on that Panzer II. It's got the bonus damage and range now. And look at it go, doing some great damage. In comes the artillery. Going straight down the middle. Largely avoided there by Hans. Talisman trying to put some pressure on the VPs, going for this one on the far right. Double Scots. By going for 2 Scots, you know, it's a lot of anti-infantry firepower, but does leave him exposed to a push, especially if his AT guns are decrewed or out of position. He could lose a lot very quickly. Comes another flare. Walking Stuka still nowhere near ready to fire. Hasn't gained its cooldown bonuses from veterancy yet, because it hasn't vetted up. But still, maybe, you know, by popping the flares, maybe he makes Hans think, oh man, it's ready to fire again. Doing a bit of mind games. Whereas in reality, still quite an extended period before it's ready to go again. Oh, M1 and Jackson in a position to get some good hits on the P4, but the M1 misses. Luke is also a little bit slow getting round and into range. Talisman's been doing a real good job holding the VPs. They're getting closer and closer to even now. Those double stern pioneers, I think, are repairing up his tanks really quickly. Really helping him keep his field presence up with his vehicles. Stuka barrage coming in. Another one not terribly strong. A little bit of damage. Oh, and the double Scots get the wipe that Hans was hoping for all this time. Fox Grenadier down. Now, that did open up a bit of supply in Talisman's army. What will he get with it? We get Obers. We go for another tank. Another P4 maybe. It's got a little bit of breathing room in its supply now.
Reconnaissance by flare now available.
Just calling in those flares again and again, keeping tabs on Hans's locations. As I said, very high munitions map, plus 47. Pop these off basically as soon as they cool down. Boomer putting pressure on those Scots though. Bet you Hans wished this hedgerow was gone. Now is Jackson to fire a lot more freely. Looks like Hans bringing a lot of troops around from the left-hand side. When they're doing some tricky maneuvers, takes a Jackson shell. And Hans pushing into the middle now. He's got a lot of bar riflemen there, shredding. Could actually lose the squad if Talisman gets a little bit unlucky. One repelling. P4. Panzer 2 comes in for a little bit of a peek. Has to back away itself. Now, Hans is in control of the VPs. Artillery flare once more. Probably ready to fire the Stuka this time. See if this one can be successful. Oh, he goes for these team weapons over here. Doesn't get a single model kill, but did get Vet 1 because he did quite a lot of damage to the Jackson. And units that cost fuel give a lot more veterancy than just standard infantry. So he's got Vet 1, he's got that first cooldown bonus. I mean, it's 10% only, but it does matter. Bit 2 is where it becomes really nasty, though. Oh, what a shot from the Scot! Decrews it immediately. Oh, but Talisman, on the back of losing those units, he's like, I'm going in, I've got the Command Panther. And now, is Hans understaffed in terms of anti-tank? Got the Jackson, 2 AT guns, 1 squad with bazookas. But Talisman has 2 medium tanks and the Puma. It's going to come down to AT gun positioning. Support from the infantry with the AT grenades. Or perhaps they'll just not go for a heroic all-in dive. I think sitting back kind of favours Talisman a bit more because he does have the walking Stuka. Can just get those barrages, and as I said, once this thing hits Vet 2, it's so nasty. I remember, what was it from GCS1 where Shadowwater versus Barton? No, that was the Warpaint. Where Shadowwater had a very aggressive team weapon oriented strategy, but as soon as this hit Vet 2, he just completely lost. Cooldown bonus was far too much for him to sustain. But Hans seems to be pretty good at dodging these walking Stuka barrages so far. Has to be said, maybe Talisman needs to get a bit more creative in the angling. Filtration grenades go in, doing good damage. Comes the walking Stuka now. Getting over in this direction. Oh, barely doing any damage, getting one model with that barrage. Talisman's walking Stuka barrages, I have to say, haven't been too strong. He had that good one as a second barrage, but since then, been very unimpressive. Okay, Vet 5, P4 and the Command Panther charging in here. Where's that M1? The M1's back for reinforcements and healing. Even the Jackson exposed. He calls in the P47s. But the Command Panther's going to chase the P4 vetted up one's going to try to escape. Runs over a light AT mine. Bazooka and M1 coming around this side. Command tank's going to continue running around this side. M1 repositions. Gets one shot off, but it bounces. Then come the P47s for another volley. Main gun destroyed. Oh man. Down goes the command tank. I think what he just needed to do, he kind of stopped there to shoot at the Scots. Allowed the M1 to get one more shot off. He was just right next to the edge of the circle as well. He just kept driving. Maybe he could have got away with that Command Panther, but he's got so many resources, he's just calling another one immediately. So at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world, but could have been better. Walking Stuka barrage coming in. Oh, this one's going to be a big one. Oh, he got all three of Hans's team weapons. That's the moment he's been waiting for. He went from 11 kills to 20 on this. So 9 model drops. All these weapons decrewed can be destroyed now as he pushes in. Oh, he's going to steal the 50 cal as well. Command Panther's got to be careful. There's quite a few bazookas there. But yeah, his P4 and his Puma should be in here trying to destroy these team weapons, stop them from being recruited. There they go. That was the money shot. And the walking Stuka finally, Hans was a little bit slower to dodge this time. And he just wiped them all in one fell swoop. That's the breaking point that I was waiting for. And that's why I was saying that, you know, this kind of like extended stalemate kind of play does favour Talisman a little bit because he's got the walking Stuka, and now that it's Vet 2 it becomes even worse. Like, you know, Hans does get the occasional like one hit wipe with his Scots, but typically not going to be as devastating as the walking Stuka, and we just saw evidence of it there. Okay, everything's being repaired up. Bit of a
Crew, get ready.
lull in the action here. We've got the Vet 5 now on the Panzer II look, so he's got access to the suppressing fire. It's not amazing, but I suppose if like might be helpful against some bazooka squads or something. Used to be passive. And sometimes you don't want the squads to be suppressed, because when they're suppressed they'll take less damage from your machine guns. In some respects it's kind of like a buff to it. You can choose when to activate it. So what is Hans going to do? Is he going to go for another Panther perhaps? Oh, bit of a base inspection here from the Panther. He's going after the ambulance. Misses the first shot. Hans, because he missed the first shot, got time to decrew with the medics. The medics are a lot slower at healing than the ambulances. And that's the thing with the ambulance, you know, you can lose it at any point just like that. It's like by far the best healing in the game, but also very easy to kill. In fact, some people were saying maybe they should increase its health from like 160 to maybe 200, so it's not just one shot to kill. Which might be an alright change. P4 going to work. Getting some good hits in. Walking Stuka also going off. Oh, in the base! Wipes a squad. The walking Stuka just coming through huge in the 48th minute, late in the match. Getting some crazy hits. Hans is falling apart now. Going for a second Jackson. Can that get him back into this match? Look at all this variancy on the vehicles for Talisman though. It's going to be bringing in 2 Vet 0 Jacksons against all these lethal tanks. That was a P4 gain in its last 2 stages. 20% scatter. Plus 16 sight range when stationary. Wow, that's really good. 25% accuracy when moving. Oh man, get 5 on that. It's pretty strong. Trading blows. Looks like Hans wants to make maybe a little bit of a push out this left-hand side. Oh, but the P4 is right there. You can see the moving accuracy just nails the rifle squad. And Talisman branching out to this right-hand side, going for the VPs. Knows he's ahead. He's trying to choke Hans out of this game. And Stuka coming in for another big barrage. Time targeting the tanks. Can do pretty good damage to vehicles. Got some good damage on the Scott there. Just accelerating the veterancy on this even further. It doesn't really gain too much as it vets past Vet 2. But might as well. Talisman also just has so many resources spared. If he loses anything, it doesn't matter. He can rebuild it instantly. Just like he did with the command tank last time he lost it, he could do the same thing again now. Oh wow, P4 doing some great damage. So thanks to the sight range bonus it has when stationary, that you could see it advancing like that. One Panther coming in from the side, trading blows with the Jackson. He's got the flare up, so he's got good line of sight on what's going on over here. And he's not giving up. Command Panther getting aggressive, and it actually causes Hans to call in the P-47s. I don't think that's a good activation of the P-47s at all. I feel like none of his vehicles were really at risk. And now he doesn't get to use this offensively. That's like the last of his munitions, basically. Because, you know, if he had the P-47s with 2 Jacksons and a Sherman, he could get aggressive. Maybe hunt down some of these tanks, but now he's kind of blowing his load. You certainly notice the difference now that this has been nerfed on the damage. Much, much, much weaker than it was last patch. I think now the Stuka close air support is better than this again. Even though this costs 40 munitions more. Okay, we've got a bit of a standoff here over the central VP. Hans no longer has suppression, so he's having trouble dealing with these squads. There's suppression, it's on the right hand side. These Scots though doing some good damage in the centre, a lot of shells flying in. The Jacksons come in for some big hits. Oh, and that is dead for sure. So much bar fire coming in there. And now the Jackson's getting aggressive for Hans. He's pushing forwards. Puma's there. Puma hits Vet 3. Could use the aim shot. I don't think we've seen him use aim shot once. Oh! Command Panther comes forward. So is the Puma. They're chasing after this Jackson. It goes down. The other one's in jeopardy of going down too, and it does. The Puma charging forwards. Now these Scots also at risk. Sherman from the side. It's one hit in, and he decides to pull back. Took care of 2 Jacksons. Doesn't have to get too eager. Hans just got picked off there, and the walking Stuka actually did quite a lot of damage to those 2 Jacksons. Kind of the catalyst for him to get aggressive. Got destroyed the Sherman, but the bazooka's coming through enough to repel the command tank. And now it's got Vet 2, doesn't want to just like lose it for no real reason. That armor bonus. Another Jackson for Hans. But that was just such a crushing blow he suffered there, losing those 2 Jacksons. Got nothing to stop this P4, just destroying his squads. Well, this must be on the base. He's got the flares up. Oh, gets quite a few models there. Hits Vet 4 on the back of that as well. Hans just suffering from this walking Stuka. Did nothing for like 10-15 minutes, then all of a sudden just turns the game on its head. Allows Talisman to pull out a huge lead. Pushing forward with the command Panther. Jackson bounces its first shot. Sherman isn't much use in these engagements, honestly. Doesn't quite have the penetration it needs to contribute. Just the command Panther bouncing every shell. Getting a little bit lucky there. Remember, even now when it hits Vet 2, gets set 10% armor bonus. Still has less armor than did a Vet 2. Less armor and health than it did Vet 2 before it got the most recent bout of changes. This P4 is just so lethal. 67 kills. Jackson pushes forwards, but he's got the flares up, so he knows it's not properly supported. P4 just charging in, so is the command tank. They know what they can get away with thanks to the flares. Killing blow. Oh, he pops smoke with the Scott to save the day, but attack round from Talisman gets the job done anyway. Now the Scott could go down. Sherman's trying to get on the rear armor of the Panther. Unsuccessful. But he decides to pull back with his vehicles anyway as incoming infantry threatens. Puma now Vet 5 after those last few heroic plays. Oh, bazookas there. Medium takes trading blows. Triple cap though against Hans, 57 VPs remaining. Oh, and the Sherman comes forward and instantly dies. It's a 1-2 punch from the Puma and the Panther. I think the Puma gains the same as the Aussie one. Yeah, plus 33% damage at Vet 3, which means then it does 160 damage per hit. Which is why Sherman went down there. Usually, otherwise it would be on a little bit of health. Slightly off target with that walking stoop barrage, but just keeping Hans pegged in his base. He's so desperate he's bringing his medics out for some action. Quite rare you see these guys going to work. Actually heal themselves, that's OP. Oh, and the command Panther coming forwards, he's got no respect now that the Jacksons are dead. It's causing the P-47s, Talisman backing up, but doesn't have much to worry about. 10 points remaining. Machine gun and the looks in the center. Seems unlikely he's going to get this done, especially if he uses the suppressing fire, which he is. Oh, but that gets cleaned up by the Scott. Okay, 4 VPs remaining. Hans is at 44. Supply. Stick bars coming in. Couple models there. 4 VPs remaining for Hans. How can he hang on from here? It's gone for another Scott. What? That's just a troll job, right? Puma just charging in, so is the command Panther. These Scots are going down fast. Damage on the command Panther. Puma, look how fast it is, just blazing around the battlefield. He's going in for it. Here comes the Vet 4 Panzer 4. He's not feeling threatened by those bazookas, and Hans calls the GG there. Talisman takes it. Ooh, a really good series overall. Very, very close games between these two. They're very evenly matched, I have to say. And yeah. Talisman takes the series 2-1 over Hans.